Hello Aries, and welcome back to my Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for Aries Sun, Moon and Rising signs for January, February. I'm usually putting the reading somewhere in the middle of the month. This month I'm a little late. We have a card popping up. Eight of Swords in your current energy. So, I'm usually putting them kind of in the middle of the month anyway. So it's for a month since you're viewing this, basically. So it will apply more or less for what's left of Capricorn season and part of beginning of Aquarius season already. All right, let's see what's your challenge for you, Aries. Happy New Year, by the way. Okay, so Ace of Cups is your challenge. Interesting. See what's the advice for Aries. Oh yeah, and this is a general reading. If it resonates, it resonates. And if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Four of Pentacles as your advice. Take what makes sense to you, what you can relate to, and let the rest go. All right, so now let's see what's the future energy. What's this building up to? Five of Pentacles. Okay, and bottom of the deck, let's see what's the underlying energy. This is the theme of your reading, the Four of Swords. Hope that makes sense. Gonna go into clarifying these cards first, then we're gonna go through it. Okay, so why is this Ace of Swords here? 8. Father of Cups. All right, why is the Ace of Cups here as challenge? Temperance. Emotions. We don't like them too much, do we? Okay, Four of Pentacles. Why is Four of Pentacles here as advice? Nine of Pentacles. Very interesting. And why is the Five of Pentacles here as future energy? What's this all about? What's the lesson here? Two of Pentacles. Lots of Pentacles. Well, I'm doing this reading where we're still in Capricorn season. And the Empress as the underlying energy along with the Four of Swords. Alrighty. Let's see what this is all about, my dear Aries. So, Four of Swords with the Empress as your underlying energy. The theme of your reading. This is what you're working with this 1 month period that this reading is about, okay? So you are taking a time to build some type of a safe space for yourself in order to clear your mind, in order to rest your mind, to allow your mind to kind of naturally come to a halt whilst you are in a safe place of healing and caring and nurturing yourself and so on. This may come natural to you, or this may be what is most beneficial to you. This is your integration process, your learning curve this month, okay? And yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it because it makes a lot of sense actually. The Four of Swords is a time of rest, is a time of integration, is a time of building, as I said, like a foundation for your mind. You're starting incorporating new ideas and allowing them to sink in, not necessarily going already out there with them, putting into the world, but rather taking your time and really digesting them. And with the Empress particularly, it's talking about doing it in a most nurturing, caring and loving environment that you can offer yourself. It may also be that you may have a mother figure in your life right now that can help you with this, but I tend to take this more internally, like, okay, being able to provide this type of energy for yourself, and I think you can access this energy within yourself right now. Okay. And current energy is the Eight of Swords with the Father of Cups. And the Eight of Swords it's an interesting energy because most of the time we think of it because of the imagery as something incredibly negative, like, oh my god, I'm trapped in my mind, oh my god, this is not good, I'm going into victim mode, or I'm overthinking, or things like this. This is the traditional interpretation of this card, which kind of is, I mean, it is all these are valid interpretation, but what's on top of it, what we don't see usually is that an 8 talks about like structure again. 4 talks about structure and foundation. 8 talks about like a more comprehensive structure, deeper, further, on both the upper and the lower planes. You know, it's an 8, and also talks about loops and understanding these loops, whether that means cycles, whether that means routines, whether that means cycle like times of work and times of rest and so on. The 8 of Swords, if I'm to read it now, makes me think about, you know, having created a certain mental foundation and having it put to test into the world already, and the natural process the mind goes through as we go into our own personal growth process is to become aware of its own limitness. I hope that's a word, limitness, how limited it is, you know? As we progress and as we being present and as we do the work, we realize that how little we know. And that's wisdom. The mind realizes its own limitations, and that's good. It may not feel fantastic though. So we have the Father of Cups coming along with this, and I believe that this means that you have the emotional maturity right now to do so. You are supported by your emotions. You feel you're not going to be swayed off by this feeling of limitations and feeling stuck or whatever, but rather being present and nurturing with this, like a father figure that is very compassionate and very caring and very understanding with this part of the mind. And that is very, very helpful, because that providing you with an amazing opportunity of getting out of your mind a little bit and not put too much stock on your mind. And you see, like, she's dressed all in red here, getting into your body and realize how you can get unstuck from body level. This is where the secret is right now. You understand the limitation of the mind. You see that at some point just like starts going in circles, repeating the same story again and again and again. And that those stories are necessarily real, and that you don't need to put so much stock onto your mind. You know, the mind makes an amazing servant, but a poor master. And in our generation, or well, humanity has been doing this for a while, but especially our generations, we've been in our minds for like ever, and we just completely disconnected from the body most of the time. We are conditioned to believe that the smarter we are, the better we are, and that we need to always think in advance and strategize and this and that. So it's natural, nothing to be judged. It is important though to understand in this process that as we allow our consciousness to rest more on our body, it's where we find the real wisdom now at this point in time. The mind will takes you where it needs to go, and you have a good mind. It's been carrying you so far. 8 of Swords is quite close to an end of a cycle, right? And yes, the deeper you go into the cycle, 9 and 10s, they're even scarier, but that's the natural process of growth. This is how we start letting go of certain limitations of the mind. Yes, like the conditioning, the programming, the automatic responses, and so on. We are, on a quest of deconditioning. We are in a quest of having to observe the limitations of the mind and start stripping off layers of defenses that don't work anymore. And you have the emotional capacity to do so. You have the very nurturing energy here, also of the Empress and of the Father of Cups. Interestingly enough, even though you have the Father of Cups here, you have the Ace of Cups and Temperance as your challenge. So it may feel really, really scary for you to go to that place of true heart openness, to allow your heart to be open, to allow yourself to feel the pure love energy that you carry within and you can access. And sometimes we're afraid to do so, like we're blocked, and that's what the mind does, it creates these shields around us so we don't get heartbroken, or so we don't repeat certain pains from the past, but then we kind of stay frozen, right? And yeah, you may have now the emotional capacity to go through this cycle of dismantling the defenses of your mind, but obviously that takes you to this place of like pure vulnerability, where you feel like your heart is breaking open, and that's scary. That's scary. That's can feel like you've been thrown off balance, like you're a little defenseless child again. And I also see the stork here with the newborn baby as temperance. Now, I think that you have the supporting energy to do so, though, to go there, to allow for this vulnerability, to allow for this openness, to allow yourself to your energy to just flow, and it will balance by itself. And we're going into advice with that because actually it makes, again, perfect sense. Look at the imagery here, how these feathers create a boundary, create a very clear boundary to where these pentacles are being held. And these feathers are very soft and very nurturing and very caring, supporting again what the Empress is saying. The Four of Pentacles is also a matter of like creating physical boundaries, in terms of like, okay, time boundaries, or am I spending my time with, where I think you're encouraged to spend some time on your own actually, or in the company of very nurturing people right now, because you're going through quite a process, okay? And yeah, this is it, like, trust. You're encouraged to trust that even though it feels vulnerable and scary to open up in this way, and to allow like the yourself to shift from mind that you've been relying on for so long into the body that maybe feels more unfamiliar, and allow this heart opening to take place. You If you deliberately create a safe space for it, that also could mean working with somebody, working with a therapist, with a coach, with somebody you really trust, like allowing yourself to be held and creating the space for you to hold yourself, the right routines, the good environment, that not gonna do, I don't know, workshop or breathwork meditation or something that really takes you into emotional sensitivity, and then you go out there party. Well, it's not like we can party with all this, but you know what I mean. Putting yourself in a threatening environment, it's a really conscious effort to put in the right structures around you right now that are very supportive. The Nine of Pentacles, it's also about independence here. So I think it's not that much external. I think it's very internal, being able to rely on yourself, on the mothering side of yourself and the fathering side of yourself, and create this like self-regulation. I have nothing against co-regulation. It's fantastic to be able to co-regulate our feelings and our emotions with someone that we care and we trust. But it's very important at the same time to develop the ability to self-regulate, to learn how to, that's emotional maturity basically, right? To learn how to understand our emotion, how to taste into them, how to balance them on our own, and how to not just be reactive and so on. This could mean like, okay, since it's advice, I'm going to go in more detail. This could mean like setting a very clear routine for yourself, how much time you spend doing the things just for you, no matter what is required of you outside of yourself, jobs and blah blah. If you need to meditate half an hour a day, do so, and do so at the right time. Then don't just like skip it because this or that. But do so with gentleness, not out of strictness of the discipline and so on. With the gentleness that you know that you're here to hold yourself, and with compassion, and compassion for the parts of your mind that are scared, and compassion for whatever you shows up for you, you know, having the willingness and the openness to be with it from this very mature side of you. And you know, with the Five of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles coming here in future energy, I know Five of Pentacles is also usually viewed as a bad card. I don't necessarily see it like this. The Five of Pentacles talks about feelings of rejection, abandonment, feeling like we can't fit in, feeling like, you know, inadequate, and like you can't really take care of yourself. It is a card that is accompanied usually with a lot of self-pity, and for good reason. I mean, like, look, there are parts of ourselves that had been rejected, there are parts of ourselves that have been dismembered. And if you want to talk about this from a psychological perspective, what is required in this sense? It's a balancing thing and a remembering, as in like reattaching a member back to where was dismembered from. And that usually requires also the mental process of remembering things that we've rejected about ourselves, and integration of trauma, integration of certain memories, and so on. But of course this needs to be done in a safe way, only in a safe way. Don't It's not about starting going too deep too fast and digging for forgotten memories and past lives. If you're not able to cope with whatever comes to you, then it's not helpful, it's not beneficial. It needs to be done slow and steady, with practice and with help if necessary, you know, to have somebody to hold the space for you. And also, do not expect that things will be need to be done in just one particular way. I know that there are many programs out there that say, no, this is how you reach enlightenment, or this is how you heal yourself. You need to follow these steps and that's gonna make it. No, you need to stay nimble. You need to stay flexible, and you need to see, you know, trial and error. I'm doing this practice, I'm using this approach, I'm sitting in meditation, and these things arises, and I can be with it now. Or maybe now I can't really sit in meditation for 30 minutes, I just do 10, and the rest say I do some yoga or some movement or some tai chi or some blah blah blah. It's finding the right balance, and this will help you to acknowledge the parts of yourself that need your benevolence right now. You see that, like, these people are naked, not naked, whatever, like barefooted and crippled in the snow, and very very poor and very needy. But here is the church, and this church could provide for them sanctuary. They could have access to food, they could have access to warmth, to clothing, but they are not even seeing it because they are so lost into their own pain. And this can happen with the mind, you know, when it starts going into circle. But that's the whole thing. If you get into your body, if you get into this like mindfulness based living where you observe rather than identify with these parts, and where you mother you and father yourself and create the right environment for you, then you will not succumb to feelings of desperation and separation, but you will actually come from the place of integration. You're like, hey, I see you, I see these parts of me that are in pain and that I've rejected because I thought I didn't know better, and I am here to welcome them back without judgment. This is a beautiful process. It's really a beautiful process. And yeah, going back to this Empress and the Four of Swords, it's all done in a safe environment with yourself, with a nurturing energy, with a reflective state, warm and fuzzy. Okay, I'll pull out a Rumi Oracle card for you to wrap up this reading. Blood Angel, number 7. Let's see. So this is how this card looks like, Blood Angel. And let's read 7. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so the poem from Rumi says, "In the midst of darkness, a moon appeared with its brilliance. Stepping down from the clouds, it glanced at me. Like a falcon that hunts a bird and steals it away, it captured me and flew back to infinite space. As I looked for myself, I could not find me, for my body had become all soul in the tenderness of love. The 9 spheres of heaven dissolved in that moon, as the ship of my existence drowned in the sea of love." Rumi. Make of that poem what you will. I'm not going to go into interpretation. I'm going to go into reading the interpretation given by this booklet. So, the Oracle of the Blood Angel comes to you with a particular message. You are being given the gift of more life. You may experience this as a growth, expansion, more energy, more life force, or divine electricity circulating through your system. The Blood Angel understands that in the gift of greater life, which enables a soul to live more of its essence, becoming a more palpable divine presence upon this earth, there are many unavoidable experiences. One of these is that there will be more sunsets to counter the increase of your sunrises. This is about balance. You see, Temperance is about balance, and the Two of Pentacles is also about balance. It's a big theme in this reading. So this is about balance. When opening up to receive more, one needs to empty out what has been to allow for a new influx of energy. This is not about an exchange of equal measure, for you will receive according to the great generosity of life itself, and thus even more shall be offered in compensation for what you are willing to release. However, release must take place. Balance is the natural law. The sunset makes way for a time of night that might be darkness, of grief, or the steering of unknown places within that only. I'm going to read this phrase again. So, balance is the natural law. The sunset makes way for a time of night that might be darkness of grief, or the steering of unknown places within that only reveal themselves in clarity the following morning. Being ready to endure the sunset and the night, to become ready to receive the sunrise, and with it more life, is your divine task now. Why is this coming to you? You are ready for it. You have outgrown what has been, and it cannot satisfy your soul anymore. A part of you, your mind perhaps, may question whether or not you really want the change inherent in this oracle, divine gift or not. You may prefer things remain the same, but what are you really wanting in that belief? Happiness? A sense of safety and security? Love? Remember that in any divine gift, no matter whether it seems to come at first through an obvious bestowal of grace, such as a wish coming true or a prayer being answered, or through a hidden grace of a loss or ending in our lives, there is always an offering of greater life within it. The Blood Angels tells you to not make yourself too small for what is happening in your soul and life now by holding on to what you know, or holding on when it is better to let go. It may not be easy, but you will gain more trust in the divine, in you, in life, and great power and heavenly play can and will flow through your soul into the world. The Blood Angels invite you to accept the genius of life and allow it to flow through you, circulating your divine light and even more abundantly into the world around you. Okay, this is really a long reading. This oracle comes with a particular blessing of well-being and vitality. You have perhaps become tired or are well but seek to engage in new projects or practices that will stretch or challenge you. The Blood Angel brings you the blessing of whatever energy is required to expand into where life is leading you. What the divine has instilled within your heart shall be financed with life force and energy so it may be brought to fulfillment. This is the sacred contract of human life. The journey shall be taken by the soul, and there will be challenges, and yet what is required for divine fulfillment will always be available. Okay, there is a sacred honoring ritual here that accompanies this card. Feel free to do it if you feel the call, and if you don't, just let it go. So the ritual goes like this. Say out loud, Blood angel of unconditional life and divine love, bless me with the life force that I need to attain my divine destiny. I open to your grace with perfect trust and perfect love. So be it. Close your eyes and notice your breath. Imagine or intend that you can sense the blood moving in your veins. So much life abounds in your body soul. In your own time, just open your eyes, and hence you have completed the ritual. Alright, dear Aries, so this is a beautiful process. Try to welcome it with this knowing that even though sometimes we need to feel parts of ourselves that maybe are challenging, or we need to welcome them back, or whatever, we need to realize the limitations of our own mind and allowing ourselves to let go of old beliefs and whatever. We need to go, that you need to go from the Eight of Swords to the Ten of Swords, and the Ten of Swords is a pretty creepy card as well. The mind doesn't like it, but again, it's a natural process of growth, on openness to life. And if you do this with this awareness, like taking it step by step, and allowing the releases, allowing the grieving, allowing the need to control to subside, and being yourself open and keeping yourself nurtured and safe, you will gain so much from this. You are already. Alright, my dear Aries, I hope this reading made sense to you. If you resonated, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, drill. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you here next month. May our practice beneficial beings.